Ready.
Hello and welcome to In the Court of the Wenton King. Today we're doing... What are we doing?
We're doing Diary of a Madman.
Diary of a Madman. There is second Randy Rhoads album, the last Randy Rhoads album. Ozzy's second solo album, is it? Don't know. Suspicious. It's still the Blizzard of Oz band, allegedly. Which is an interesting thing. So the point is, this is same era. They've done a tour of Europe, I think, not just the UK, I think of Europe, with Blizzard. Billed as the Blizzard of Oz, you know, there's charts and there's various bits and pieces which call them the Blizzard of Oz. And as it got more and more successful, the word Ozzy Osbourne started appearing and Blizzard of Oz started shrinking and it started doing that. And Sharon made a decision, which was a brilliant business decision, and you can see this in retrospect, but it was a terrible artistic decision. She realised before the US tour starts, they've got a little gap. I think it was 6 weeks. So make another album in the 6 weeks. We'll get this momentum going, and it'll just rocket in America. And she was right. You know, it was the correct business decision, but it wasn't the correct artistic decision. This is a controversial thing to say because this is held up as the first two Ozzy albums, obviously the best ones, because Randy Rhoads. And because there's only two Randy Rhoads albums, I think that's why this is held up on this pedestal it doesn't deserve. Because obviously they had to make it very quickly, and it was one of many things I'm going to talk about in a bit as why Randy Rhoads wasn't very happy, and they were forced to make this album too quickly, and he wasn't happy with it. Given that, they actually did not a bad job really, given the pressure they're under. You've got a fantastic title track at the end. That is just great. That's classic, epic Ozzy. I love it when Ozzy does the big things like that. And that's a great one. And I think the opener is better than Blizzard actually. But apart from that, Believer's alright. That's a good bit of Ozzy. The rest of it, for me, is completely forgettable. And it is much more 80s. We've definitely made the transition into the 80s now.
Yeah.
But production's much better. But that also makes it more rounded and more 80s. So maybe that doesn't do it any favours in that Blizzard has this immediacy to it because it was recorded quite cheaply, I think. So yeah.
Moderate. Yeah, I found it pretty not hard going, pretty bland really. I mean, you can have it on in the car and not really listen to it at all. Maybe it's a bit long. Diary of a Madman needs to come a little bit earlier. Maybe that would condense things a bit and make it a little bit more punchy.
Then you just wouldn't listen to the second side then?
I mean, it is slightly long. I can't remember how long it is now. It's it's right on the edge of. By the time I get to work, I'm on S.A.T.O, S-A.T.O or Tonight.
How long does it take to get to work?
Between 35 and 45 minutes.
Goodness me.
I don't know. Maybe I've been driving super quick this week because half term. So I think it could do being a little bit shorter, but I think that just speaks to the fact that the songs on there aren't particularly inspiring. It does sound more Ozzy Osbourne, and it sounds like okay.
Yeah, something's defined.
Yeah, he's found his voice in Blizzard of Oz, or they found their voice in Blizzard of Oz, and excellent Randy Rhoads work. Sounds very like good 80s heavy guitar.
Yeah,
and
obviously he almost defined it. He's one of the pillars of 80s rock. You know, it was him and Van Halen, really. I mean, you could go that far.
Yeah. But nothing to get excited about. There's nothing that comes along and says, I think I'm going to enjoy this, but I'm going to have to listen to it a few times and work at it a little bit. It's more, just more of the same.
I bought Trash. No, not Trash. Hey Stupid. Because I really love Alice Cooper. I think he's great. I like his School's Out is a great album. It really is. They're fantastic. And Hey Stupid, I know, is supposed to be better than Trash. Trash is supposed to be a bit too 80s. Hey Stupid is actually like 91 or something. It's got Joe Satriani and Steve Vai on it, and Slash as well, I think. So I thought, wow, let's get that. To me, I couldn't even get through it because it's so 80s. To my ears, it's too late for me. Maybe if I'd heard that when I was 13, I would have loved it. And you can see this is very much the start of that. So I mean, like I said, I like Diary of a Madman, which I think is great actually on its own. I think it's fantastic. Got a real choir on it and everything. And I think Over the Mountain is actually better than I Don't Know. But Flying High Again is supposed to be a classic bit of Ozzy. It's not about drugs. It's not actually about drugs.
It just sounds like every song is about drugs. It's a bit like Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah.
It's like every song is about drugs somewhere along the lines, and it's sort of, they've picked that up from Ozzy Osbourne, I'm sure they have.
Yeah. Well, Flying High Again, it's about being successful again. If you listen to the lyrics, it's actually about being successful again. And that's supposed to be a big famous song, but I've never really liked it. Just because it's so I don't know whether it's not really the quality of the music, it's stylistic, in that it's just not for me.
Yeah.
It's obviously we're so 70s centric, and coming from that to listen to You Can't Kill Rock and Roll or Tonight is incredibly dull. I mean, I know there's people who love it. This is one of the most controversial things we've ever said, probably, because it's so loved because it's Randy Rhoads. But it's only because he only did 2 albums.
It does sound like a managed album, doesn't it? You know, you get a certain album like Black Sabbath. It didn't feel managed. You know, it felt like they were go away, make some stuff, and come back and we'll put it out. Whereas this does feel we're in that era now of time management of bands and maximising revenue and stuff like that. You just get that feeling from it. It's got enough high points on there to make an album, to make an 80s album, and now I'll just put any other stuff on there.
I mean, what I really want to avoid is slagging off Sharon, because that's the thing now, is everyone blames Sharon for everything. It's all her fault.
But would he have had a career after Sabbath without Sharon?
Exactly.
Probably not.
Yeah, this was a brilliant business decision that paid off massively. What's really interesting is how these albums parallel the 2 Sabbath albums, Heaven and Hell and Mod Rules. I think they're better albums actually, but they're very much in parallel. And what happened next, how telling that is, it went, literally, and that's from good management. And obviously, I'm not going to, we won't even get into Eggfest or anything like that, which is ridiculous. But without Sharon, there's no Ozzy. So or maybe it's intentional, in that it's sort of to protect Ozzy. It's all about Ozzy's image as it's Ozzy. He's great, isn't he?
He's such a strange person to hang a whole thing on like that, isn't he?
That's kind of the point.
He's a good icon.
Yeah. There were several things Randy Rhoads wasn't happy with. One of the things, the next thing, is that if I open the inlay here, this is the 1995 remaster. So I've got this. This is the original CD, although it's in a weird 2 originals box. It's actually the original CD remaster, so that's lucky to have that. This is the 1995 remaster. But the liner notes are the same as the original, and the original says Rudy Sarzo bass, Tommy Aldridge drums, somewhere along the line it does say Don Airey on keyboards. None of those things are true. They're fine. Don Airey is on Blizzard of Oz playing Mr. Crowley and whatever. He's not actually on this because he was on tour with Rainbow. I said this, didn't I? It was the horrible. The backing vocals and the Joan Turner Can't Happen Here era, which he left. So he wasn't free to record on the album. It turns out he must have left Rainbow and gone straight on tour with Ozzy, because he was on the tour for this, but not on the album. He wasn't free, and it was just some guy they knew. Rudy Sarzo and Tommy Aldridge, of course. Ozzy was a big fan of Tommy Aldridge's drumming. Well, not particularly. And what happened was that they recorded Diary of a Madman. Supposedly, Lee Kerslake was playing a big part in the recordings, and there was a lot of demos of Lee Kerslake singing, but Bob's lyrics apparently with Randy, which begs the question: where did Ozzy come into the equation for this one? We don't. But that's the kind of thing that's never going to be revealed, really. But there was discussion about money, and apparently they weren't being paid at all. I assume Bob Daisy was going to Sharon and saying, "We need some money. We're going to die if you don't give us some money." And what happened was, once they finished the album, it was decided, you're fired. We're going on tour with Rudy Sarzo and Tommy Aldridge. Bye. So on this recording is Bob Daisley and Lee Kerslake on rhythm section, who are not credited on most CD releases. I believe not until 2011. Oh no, they were credited in 2002 as well. The 2002 remaster. But of course, the 2002 remaster had the rhythm section replaced with, I think, Robert Trujillo, is that his name? Who went on to jump around on a bed with his bass in Metallica, and Mike Borden. to re-record the rhythm parts, and they released a version of these two albums with that rhythm section, which obviously was a terrible idea. I mean, just terrible. And what's really interesting about that one is Ozzy blames Sharon and Sharon blames Ozzy for that one. Neither of them have taken responsibility for that one. But Ozzy says Sharon basically exploded when they were suing him because they hadn't had any royalties, and that's why they did that. But they put it back because obviously people were so disgusted. It means now, though, as a fan, I never heard that. I want to hear it. It must sound awful. Frank Zappa did a similar thing actually with some very early recordings. He said that the tapes had corroded and had to re-record them, but they were reinstated later on actually. But yeah, so Randy wasn't happy with that, and then there was this talk of the next album. They were going to do a live album. They had a 3-album deal with Jet. I don't know if the third album had to be a live album or not, but that was it with Don Arden. Sharon's fallen out with Don Arden and wants to go on her own and decides, well, what we'll do the live album. It's just going to be Sabbath songs. We're not going to give him any more of the Ozzy songs. And Randy was not happy with this. Randy wasn't a Sabbath fan, actually. I mean, he likes glam and neoclassical. So, he was pretty miffed about that. So Randy had decided, probably also, I've got to get the hell away from Ozzy because he's a nutter, I would suspect. But obviously, even though they worked so well together, But a lot of people said this. People thought, well, someone's going to die. Ozzy's going to die. This is madness. And so Randy had decided he was going to leave rock music. He wasn't going to do rock music anymore. He was going to do a music degree or something, I think. But of course, sadly, I believe the bus driver they had on the tour bus was also a pilot. And the place they'd hired the bus from also had planes, so they hired a plane out as well, with the bus driver driving it. And he was supposedly buzzing the bus while everyone was asleep. And they were taking it in turns to go up in this plane and mess around. And when it was Randy's turn to go up, it hit a building, I think. It missed the bus and hit a building and killed them all. There's stories about the pilot, supposedly his wife was a tour manager or something and he was trying to kill his wife or something like that. I don't know. But Don Airy reckons he could see, as the plane was coming down in the cockpit, he could see people, a scuffle, of something, of people trying to gain control of the plane or something. So there you go. But yeah, that was it. Which meant that Ozzy would always have different guitarists through his career. That's why this album is considered important, because it wasn't long before that, But I just don't think it's all that. I think the title track is fantastic.
So how many eggs are you going to give it?
It gets 3 eggs purely on the title track, bringing up the eggs for me.
Yeah, I mean, I would listen, because we reviewed a few Bruce Dickinson albums, and I prefer this to that.
That shows it's a stylistic thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That it's what we like. This isn't the right area of music for us.
Yeah.
In the same way Bruce Dickinson wasn't the right area of music for you.
I mean, I'm tempted to give it three eggs as well, just for the fact that it's actually listenable. It doesn't turn me off, if you know what I mean.
Exactly, yeah.
But I think that's part of the well managed feel of the album.
Yeah. The question is is this to do with our age? I mentioned this in a comment this week, I think, and that we're 80s phobic naturally because of our age, because we grew up in the 90s. Even though we know the 90s sucked, there's always it's 80s. No, I don't like that. And usually we're right. Because the 80s sucked. But not always. And maybe this is an example of that. And maybe it's the 80s phobicness that if this had been recorded in the 70s, in a 70s styling, and we'd say, well, they're quite straightforward songs, but they're good songs. Maybe we would have given it 4 eggs.
Possibly.
It's an interesting question, isn't it?
I'm going to stick with 3 though.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that album cover alone limits it to a 3.
I was going to say it's great. They're obviously Satanist. Can't you tell? He's dressed up as a werewolf, so he must be a Satanist.
Upside down cross on the wall.
Yeah. His son giggling in the background. It's interesting that Bob Daisley went back so many times and essentially wrote nearly all his lyrics for the whole of the 80s. And even went back, even in the 90s he went back, actually. I mean, we'll talk about that next week, I think. In Bark at the Moon, the next album, which is written... Bark at the Moon's a big controversial because it's all credited to Osbourne, so nobody else got writing credit. And Jakey Lee was made to sign a document after he'd written everything, to waiver all the rights to the songs. But he was told he'll get stuff on the next album, that kind of thing. But Bob Daisley wrote this song, Now You See It, Now You Don't. Now it's a pretty forgettable song, and I'd never it never occurred to me before. But it says, "Overbearing woman, making it so hard for me. Now you've laid it down for all to see. Can I ask a question? Do you think I can take a blow? This is why I always come and go." So it's a song there, sung by Ozzy, having a direct go at them. But he still did it, you see, and he still kept going back, which is interesting. But maybe we'll talk about that more next week. So yeah, that story of Madman. Should we tell them the next album we're doing or not?
Yeah, because I can't remember what we decided.
Controversial. You would assume we were doing Bark at the Moon next week, but we're not. We're going to do No More Tears.
Ooh.
You didn't see that coming, did you?
Interesting that.
Right, so see you next week. King.